Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into another video. Today's video is about Paladins and something that I have noticed in the last few days that it's been pretty regular in a way, and which is the amount of players that are playing Paladins on Steam. Now, before anyone starts jumping in and saying, oh, but you have to understand, Paladins doesn't just have Steam. They have Epic Games, they have PlayStation, they have Xbox, and inside of each one of those, you have the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5, the Xbox. Yeah, I understand all of that, and I do understand. In fact, I even might believe that consoles do have more players than Steam. But we need to pay attention to a couple of things. Before we go into those things that I want to pay attention to, let me just show you exactly what I'm talking about, right? So I have these from two different sources, and there's been other people actually using API bots or something like that, collecting numbers of like the peaks of players in the last hours, the last few hours, the amount of unique players, and the two sources I'm using right now, it is Steam Charts and Paladins DB, which also happens to have a charts section for each one of their games. Now, if you haven't seen this, this is like the entire timeline of the game itself. This obviously, after the game had been released, fully released on Steam, but it was still available in for us, even on Steam, before this bar here ends, right? So the game was still in open beta, and it was pretty much released. It's just the Steam charts only started counting from here for some reason. Or maybe that is before the open beta. I'm not even sure. I'm not gonna lie. I haven't even bothered to check the dates, but it doesn't matter. That's not what we're here for. As you can see here, there are two sections here with very, very low numbers. The lowest section before this is a whopping 4,400 players on December of 2022. And now we have the so-called decline on this last section here in the last week, which, as you can see, this is the high point of where there's the most players, and then it goes down all the way until like 8 a.m. for my time, which means that it's around 4, 3, or 5 a.m. in America time. And I do realize that there's probably a lot of players in America, but I'm not sure how many more players there are in America compared to Europe. That's not really the point, but it does show that at around this time, I'm imagining, you know, being like 7, 8 a.m. for me, and already to mean like 9 a.m. for like a couple more countries in Europe. I would imagine a lot of people is either working or at school, and for Americans, they're asleep. So it does match. It does make sense that these are the lowest numbers. But those are not the lowest numbers that, you know, upset me. The lowest numbers that upset me are these lowest numbers here, the high ones on the list. Because these low numbers, as you can see, 5,000, 5,000, 5,000, 4,500, is equivalent to the lowest we had in December 2022. Excuse me, on December 2022. Which then translates to, back then, you know, it was a rough time. It eventually got changed and people got back into the game. We had a little bit of an increase there. Fantastic. But now our highest is the lowest from back then. So, and this goes in both ways, all right? Like you can see the little decline there, December 2022, and you can see here, Steam Charts even shows us that there was on Wednesday 852 people playing the game. However, I think this is around also the time where the servers were down. So Steam Charts show you this number, but for example, SteamDB does not. All right, and I think it's like here or something where there was a bit of instability, and the servers would shut down, reset. I don't know, doesn't matter. But as you can see here, these are the numbers we're working with. And again, like I said, remember the entire, you have consoles and so on. So here's the thing. Paladins had been released in the following platforms. First of all, the most known one, Steam. Second of all, Epic Games. a couple of years later, obviously. We then had also PlayStation, which is around the time I started playing, and I think it was 2016. I don't even remember. It's when Ceres came out. There. We also had Xbox, obviously. We had the Switch, which unfortunately has been turned off. We had Discord. So for those who don't know, yeah, you could install Paladins from Discord. That has been sunset, as no longer exists. And we had the standalone launcher, which apparently some people still manage to work with. I don't recommend, but apparently, according to some people, this is what hackers actually use to get into the game and not being tracked down and so on, and be able to create a brand new account straight away, and not have their Steam accounts banned. So yeah, but obviously, like the standalone launcher, if we have less than 50 people on it, that's probably even still too much. Discord has been closed, so nobody's playing from there. Switch is gone, so either those players stopped playing Paladins entirely or migrated over to other consoles like Xbox, potentially even PC, who knows. Probably not into PlayStation, and I'm not seeing people who were on the Switch going over to PlayStation and having to restart everything, because unfortunately PlayStation does not allow cross progression. So, but the current and the most viable options we have are PlayStation, Xbox, and Steam. I'm not even mentioning Epic Games, because here's the thing, folks. Not a lot of people play on Epic Games. I'm aware there will be people playing on it, and I know there's going to be people watching this video and they're going to be like, no, Kreepers, I play on Epic Games. Yes, you are one of the very few who do play on Epic Games. I know this because for a long time, since Epic Games came out, I've asked countless times to all the players that ever showed up on my streams, do you play on Epic Games? I've seen forums. I've seen people who happen to struggle with Epic Games and struggle and not struggle. Okay, so a lot of people went into Epic Games, as I suggested, back on the time where they had brand new computers and they could not start the game in Steam. Going to Epic Games saved them, but that got fixed. Then we need to understand an extra thing. PDS exists only on Steam, so it's not very beneficial for people to have an installation of the game on one platform and then the PDS in another platform. It can work and people can do it, but it's just not very common. So since that problem has been fixed, many people have migrated back to Steam. And then we have to remember, again, the problem, the struggle, which is Steam, Epic Games, which unfortunately has a chat bug for ever since it got released. And they have not fixed this. I doubted that it's actually client-side, because if it was, it would have happened on Steam. So there has to be some sort of a connection issue between the Epic Games servers, or whatever it is sending over the data from Epic Games launcher. And then it makes the chat of people when you're on in the draft of the games not actually go through, right? And they only get to see this chat again when they get into the game. And now, this might not look like a big issue for a lot of people, but honestly, if you aren't competitive and you're trying to talk to people, you just don't happen to have voice chat on, or your teammates don't have voice chat on, it's kind of going to be a struggle, you see? So yeah, a lot of people stopped playing on Epic Games because of that, and if you do have that issue and you're thinking, oh, that's exactly the issue I got, well, yeah, you got to go to Steam. Sorry, folks. Until they fix it, this is the best way you have. Go to Steam. All right, Steam itself, the launcher itself of Steam actually is faster. I don't know what are you doing on Epic Games unless you're playing Fortnite. Because, like, other than that, all the games that exist on Steam, I will try to play them on Steam 24/7. All right? I even have, like, a code for people to use on the Epic Games Store, which is Kreepers_YT. I think I have it on my About section of both videos and Twitch. And even then, like, I don't bother much telling this to people because I know a lot of people don't like Epic Games. They don't like the launcher of Epic Games. Who knew, right? So we reached a conclusion. PlayStation, Xbox, and Steam. We have now narrowed the entire player base into 3 different spots, right? With a couple of exceptions, obviously. But here's the thing. You might be saying, okay, but on PlayStation, we have more players. Or Steam, or Xbox, doesn't matter. I would believe this if Hi-Rez had decided to come out with some sort of, I don't know, some public information that we can just check, like the status website, right? That website should be able to show us player base. I'm gonna be straight up honest. It's a data that I, for example, I have access to from Ram Royale. On Ram Royale, I can see how many players are in the game, how many players have played matches in the last 24, 48 hours, whatever you want, how many unique players, all right? Unique, different accounts, literally different accounts, have been playing the game in this last month, right? Separate accounts. I'm not talking like people who come back every day. No. That one person counts as one all the month. This information is available for Ram Royale, and I cannot even have that for Paladins. So that brings me to the conclusion of either two things. Either A, it's too much work for them to do and go and change the website of the status of Paladins, you know, the servers, and put their numbers of players, and maybe that's too much work or something, I don't know. Or second, they're scared that we get to see the numbers, because this is the legit only way we have to track players right now. And like I said, this is almost like a stock market in a way, right? Imagine I'm a content creator, or imagine I'm a person who spends a lot of money in the game. I would like to know if the game has viability to stay alive for the next 1 month or at least 1 year, right? Because why would I go and spend, let's say, 500 euros or dollars in crystals if maybe next month we're not even going to have new content and they've decided to keep the old battle passes thing just to keep the server running like they did with Ram Royale? You see my point here, right? What happened to Ram Royale, for example, where they did a battle pass and that was the last battle pass, people got to go there, spend their money, and then on the next patch they're like, oh, by the way, we're not putting a battle pass on the next one. Enjoy. And it stayed like that for years. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but if I spent money on that game, I would be incredibly pissed. And I did spend money on Ram Royale. What I'm saying is if I had to go there and decided to spend a lot of money in the game, and I just see the numbers and I have to go and check it on Steam, I have to check it on one single platform. But again, if Hi-Rez is not willing to do it, then I guess whatever. I mean, I just don't understand how we can do it for Ram Royale, but we can't do it for Paladins. So that's why sometimes, you know, I start making theories in my head. They're scared people get to see the numbers and think that maybe, just maybe, shit's going sideways, you know. But again, like, our highest numbers are very, very low on Steam alone. And Steam is one of the most used platforms in the entire world. It is on the top, at least top 3. I've seen this data. Steam is one of the most used platforms. The only reason why we have a lot of players on PlayStation and Xbox, if you would like considering it as a lot of players, it's because Paladins, Smite, and Ram Royale do not require a subscription to play. And this, at least in PlayStation, because I've heard that on Xbox, apparently you have to have the Xbox Gold. Which, if that's true, then that means PlayStation has more players. And that a lot of Xbox players ended up playing on PC with a controller, maybe through the Xbox Game Pass or whatever the fuck, right? And so as you can see here, now I'm even diminishing the numbers of Xbox as well, because potentially a lot of people want to just sit back, and most of the player base on Paladins is a very low age player base. Most of these people don't have money. Okay? Or at least they do not see it as a good investment. You look at Fortnite and you say, this game's going strong, there's constant new stuff getting in, I love the stuff they're putting in, doesn't matter if like they're doing one patch or something, next patch they'll just make it up or something, there's a lot of free stuff for us to grind, so definitely I would invest money into that. People look at Paladins, they don't see the same thing. So obviously, we're not going to spend a lot of money, especially because they are kids. They're not going to ask their parents for V-Bucks or fucking Steam cards or whatever. They would rather do it for Fortnite. So right now, with a lower player base also means lower income. And if we have lower income, that means that they have smaller budgets. And by smaller budgets means no advertising, possibly potentially having to fire more people from the team. And I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I've met a lot of the developers on Paladins, and they are absolutely fantastic people. But if I had to bet whether Paladins will die in the next year or the next year, I would not. I just rather not, because it is very unstable. It is potentially, like, I've seen games with bigger numbers than this go to shit. But then again, I know that Hi-Rez doesn't just give up on their games. Even if they have to leave it just with no patch, no nothing, but they will not shut it down. I mean, just look at DKO. Perfect example. Ram Royale, Thor came back and did amazing work, and then he got snatched. Now he's working in a different team. Poor guy loved Ram Royale, wanted to continue to do his thing, and he can't even do that no more because he's been snatched over to another team because they're lower on staff. So you see here my point, right? This is, like, they're trying, and I give them that. Those developers are fucking awesome. But unfortunately, I mean, we just have to be realistic. If the player base on Steam alone is this low, it's starting to get this low, and if people don't even have new stuff to buy, folks, new patch coming in a couple of days. It was supposed to come in on Tuesday, and then it got delayed to Thursday, and apparently even then it has been delayed again. Which happens, listen, it completely happens. I think Smite had the exact same issue with the Microsoft verification patch. So, like, you know, Microsoft didn't allow them to put the patch, so they had to fix a couple things. So that happens. I am completely okay with that. I don't give a shit. I'd rather have the patch correctly than have no patch at all. Or just have a patch all fucked up, right? But, you know, the patch doesn't have new things. Only new things that we do have is an LTM, a skin in Ranked, which, you know, a lot of people don't play Ranked, and they don't love Ranked for very many different reasons. And then we have, obviously, the commendations, which apparently they forgot to mention because they weren't sure if they was getting in or not. And they confirmed that it was getting in, and we see the commendations. They're on Twitter right now. If you go onto Twitter, Paladins Twitter, you'll find it. And apparently the commendations is a frame, a gold chest, a flare chest, and a title. The title is needs to touch some grass. I'm gonna be perfectly honest, that was a very poor choice. I know that this has nothing to do with anything. I'm just, like, I'm adding an extra thing here. I just feel like that it's a very, very poor choice of a title to have there, because I've always seen the commendations as something to glorify, as something to, like, oh, the VIP, the high commendation person, and so on. But then I see needs to touch some grass. That's more of a competitive title, you know, like ranked title. This person is GM, man. He did like 200 wins. Boom, here you go. This title needs to touch some grass. It's like putting salt in the wound, right? Like, you play this much, here's a title that tells you that you are playing too much. That would have just been perfect, but hey. But back to this. Let's not go too far. I can't see the numbers on Xbox. I cannot see the numbers on PlayStation. I would love for people to confirm to me on the comment section down below whether or not you do have to pay for Xbox Gold to play on Xbox Paladins. Because if that is true, I guarantee you that the numbers on Xbox are lower than in PlayStation. But we do have to understand one thing, which I don't know this, but I also am going to talk to somebody which I know from Microsoft. Apparently, if you are playing on PC through the entire Xbox gaming store or whatever, I don't know how that counts, but I think it might count you as an Xbox player. I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to confirm this with a Microsoft employee that I know and see if this is true or not. But again, it is very troublesome that the players are going down. I know the developers are doing the best they can, and, you know, new patch is coming up, so we gotta wait. But just to make sure that people understand that I'm not just, you know, oh, he's just doing this for content. You know, like, new patch is coming in. Obviously, the numbers are going up, right? So this is the gain we had in January 2024 compared to the 168% on January 2023. So, you know, always like first patch of the year. We also had a smaller growth on 2022, but it happened because this is around the time, remember, there was a bigger growth here because we lost a lot of players on the December 2022, if you guys remember. So, yeah, there was a, like, huge jump right there. I think this is also around the time, wasn't this around the time that people were talking about how like there was potentially bot increase? Because it went down like 4,000 in 1 month. I don't know, maybe. Doesn't matter. But like every January of each year, it tends to increase. Whether it is like a 10 to 20%, it does. It usually does, right? As you can see here, January 2020. Okay, this one might have been, for example, but still, every January, usually it always goes up because new patch, new season, and they always try to bring a new champion on this patch. It gets revealed on the HRX World Cup for Smite or Paladins, whatever the fuck used to exist. And this year, we didn't have that. We had a patch with a Grover skin that it's completely fucking bugged. Every time you shoot, it does the healing sound. He has an aneurysm or some shit because this area is just constantly flicking or whatever the fuck. The skin is not even that interesting, to be honest. I thought it was gonna have a little bit more interest considering the fact they did teasers with the character narrating. The Omen skin, I barely see it. I think people did not like the skin, honestly, because I don't think I've seen it ever since I started playing this Battle Pass. And other than that, there was nothing else very great. Then the next patch, no new champion, old content for a Battle Pass to grind. So people are paying 400 crystals to grind for 100 crystals if you already had the skins. This is a patch for old players, right? Not old players, new players that didn't get the chance to get these skins. But mind you, these skins are in chests. Like, this does not even bring them any sort of revenue in a way, because they would get more money from the chests themselves. So I don't know what's coming up on the patch after this one. I have heard rumors there will be a new support coming. You know, and like I said, if you guys have seen my last stream, I have indeed uninstalled Paladins, but that does not mean that I cannot, you know, keep up with the stuff and do videos about the news and opinions and so on. Oh, well, that's FBI telling me that there's somebody trying to hack my computer right now. I gotta go, folks. So, thank you so much for watching. I want to know you guys' opinions. Do you agree or do you not agree that this is a very big, bad sign for Paladins? Do you think that this is not important at all? Do you think that this has nothing to do with reality? Do you think these numbers are wrong and in fact Paladins might go up in the next patch or at least the patch after? What do you think? I would love to know your opinions. And please, again, for anybody who's on Xbox, go down below and tell me if you have to pay for Xbox Gold to play Paladins, okay? Other than that, thank you so much for watching. A couple more videos will be coming up. I have a video coming up talking about the Battle Pass and how it is a bit unreal to what they promised us, and another one talking about the Chronicles and why I, technically speaking, don't really like them and what made me feel like that. So if you don't want to miss any of those videos, you know how to do it, man. Subscribe to the channel, share the video with your friends, or hit that like button and drop a comment for the algorithm. Very much appreciate it, and I'll see you guys next time. Till then, have a wonderful time.